Hello and welcome to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow, Season 11. I'm Sunanda Jayaseelan. On the show tonight, first up, a conversation with a global wedding player as we're in the middle of the wedding season here in India. My second conversation is with none other than Sonica Malhotra. She's of the MBD group as we're continuing our series of conversations around women entrepreneurs and leaders all of this month. Timothy, good having you here with us on the show. I want to start by asking you to really talk about the business. What does the Knot do globally as well as in India? What are its businesses like? What can you tell us?
So the Knot Worldwide is a global leader in the wedding industry. We have properties in 16 countries in the US and Europe, Latin America, and of course India here. The global wedding industry is about a $250 billion a year wedding industry. With India being about a $50 billion per year industry.
The business of weddings, not just weddings itself, have changed dramatically, one would say, post-COVID. How have new age businesses like yours, like Wedding Wire, really changed, been impacted by and post-COVID?
So yeah, COVID was, we call it the largest pause button ever pressed in the wedding industry. And so obviously due to a lot of government restrictions on travel, weddings were really hard to get done during the pandemic. But that doesn't mean that people stopped getting married. They just couldn't actually do it at that time. And so what we saw coming out of COVID was 2022 on record, globally will probably be one of the biggest years that ever will have happened in weddings. Some of the trends that we're seeing coming out of COVID include more experiential focus on weddings. So what we remembered during COVID was how great it was to want to be with close friends and families to celebrate in life, important life milestones and really elevate that guest experience. And we're seeing that be one of the things that sticks through COVID. Another thing that we're seeing also is that wedding guest sizes obviously came down during COVID. They're trending back up, but we do feel like wedding guest sizes are, generally a little bit smaller. People are really, though, holding their budgets, which means ultimately they're able to spend more per guest, and it's a really great experience, for pulling off that big day.
Would you say the wedding industry and market is returning to some sort of normalcy, if you can call it that? Any statistics, anything that you can show and point to?
Yeah, so the wedding industry, we expect, again, 2022 was probably one of the most number of weddings that will happen on record. In 2023, we expect a sort of return to normal in terms of number of weddings. Now, things that will continue trend-wise will include outdoor weddings. We feel like a lot of people discovered the beauty of outdoors and wanting to continue to keep that around as they think about wedding planning in 2023. Smaller guest sizes, generally speaking, were something that sort of more intimate weddings were one of the outputs of COVID, and people really will continue to think about that. Destination weddings is another trend coming out of COVID as well, and this return to normal includes, a little bit more experiential, a little bit more travel in terms of creating that special day that may look a little bit different than it was before.
Timothy, has the wedding market been impacted by inflation, and if yes, how so? What can you tell us?
Inflation has impacted the wedding industry. The cost of goods has just gone up in general. So that might be, we've seen hotel prices just in general due to travel coming out of COVID increase. The cost of labor, cost of food has increased. In fact, some of our surveys indicate that vendors across our site in Wedding Wire India last year, revenues were up considerably. And that was both a result of over demand, right? A lot of demand coming up from post-COVID times, but also rising costs on the supplier side as well, which ultimately means that weddings got more expensive in 2022 and are continuing in 2023 that way as well.
I want to talk trends at this point, Timothy. What global trends in the wedding market are perhaps gaining traction here?
Global wedding trends. So definitely we're noticing in India right now that couples are taking a little bit more of a lead role in planning their wedding. And that's not to say the family's involvement is any less important. But in terms of couples' contribution into the financing of the wedding, we're seeing that become more popular. That's leading then to couples having a little bit more of a role to play in terms of the planning of the wedding itself, which is leading to, consideration on guest list sizes, what that experience is for guests as well, maybe consideration to destination weddings or something we're calling residential weddings right now that we're tracking, where you might drive to somewhere closer by, almost like a staycation, but the wedding version, where people can come together and still have that really unique once-in-a-lifetime experience, maybe right outside the city, 1 or 3 hours away.
Timothy, what's 2023 looking like for you at the company?
So for us at the Knot Worldwide here, again, we get the pleasure of seeing weddings happen all over the world. We obviously continue to focus very heavily on investing and innovating in our product and services. That includes all-in-one planning tools for engaged couples that are planning their wedding. We want them to be able to come and have access to budgeting and checklists and wedding websites and all of the things that you would need to plan your big day. Number two, we can continue to focus on building our supplier base out. Ultimately, planning a wedding takes a large number of an all-star team of vendors coming together to make that day special. We have over 70,000 vendors on Wedding Wire India, and we're going to continue to build out that base of suppliers in order to make sure that couples coming in can be matched to the perfect vendor for their big day. I would just say my advice to entrepreneurs in general is be prepared for the roller coaster ride up and down. It's never an easy journey, but the prize at the end is very well worth it. And so just have resilience and optimism. So we're really proud of the growth that we've seen in Wedding Wire India. We founded the property in 2017, and over that time, we've grown the property considerably. We've had over 21% growth in our couples registering on our site year over year. We have over 70,000 vendors listed in our platform today on Wedding Wire India, and that number keeps growing as well. We're really, really focused on bringing the best venues and photographers, makeup artists, and all the other categories online, ultimately to help them connect with all the engaged couples that are seeking their services today.
Timothy, good having you with us on the show. Let's wrap it here. As we've run out of time on this segment, I'm going to slip into a short commercial break. For those of you watching at home, we are back in just a moment. Just stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow. My second conversation tonight is with entrepreneur Sonica Malhotra. Sonica, so good of you to join us live on the show, and hopefully next time we will be, of course, shooting and meeting face to face. But 19 years ago, you took a call to really diversify into the hospitality space. What's that move been like? What's the hospitality, industry change like perhaps in the last 2 decades almost? What can you tell us?
I think this decision was taken by our founder and my father, Shri Sonica Malhotra, to basically venture into hospitality. And when I entered in, the acquisition of land was already done. The project was under construction. And this was basically placed for me as a training ground to really understand the nitty-gritties of business and go about launching a new division, which actually was very interesting for me personally in terms of my professional growth and learning. And also from the group's perspective, we'd been a hardcore education company, and it meant that we were diversifying into a very interesting new opportunity and that too from Noida, which was a very upcoming destination.
As the joint managing director of your group's hospitality wing, what's your vision like really when it comes to the hospitality space, and where you foresee your company and your brand really being a part of this entire industry?
Well, the long-term vision of the group is that we want to have geographically our risk diversified, so not only operate in the Indian territory but also look at avenues for diversifying the footprint of MBD Group across different international locations. We've already done that in South Africa, in UK, and we're looking at more opportunities in other parts of the world. Besides this, we are still about 60% focused into education and about 40% into hospitality, retail, and commercial office spaces. I would like that we're able to enhance more verticals into the group and basically make MBD as one of the most profound words to reckon in the times to come.
Okay, for the industry, what's the outlook for 2023, Sonica?
The tourism industry had a very big setback during COVID, but the greatest news is that we've come back with a bang. The kind of ADRs and occupancies that the hotels are seeing are probably 25% higher than that of even the pre-COVID levels. Even the food and beverage and the other minor operating department incomes have seen a great upward movement. And I think this trajectory is going to continue in the next year as well, probably even more pragmatic than what we witnessed immediately post-COVID.
So what have your biggest learnings been really from those challenges? And how have you managed to turn them around into your successes and your strengths? What can you tell us?
Well, the biggest learning for me has been that you have to be a learner all your life. I think the day you think that you know it all, you have all the capability, and that's the time the graph starts declining. For me personally, I look at every opportunity to learn. I love going in for my academic breaks as well. Besides that, meeting new people almost every day, learning from their backgrounds, how they overcome difficulties, how they're progressing in life, what are their vision to go forward. I think for me, learning every day is something which is extremely important for me. It's a constant process. And I have imbibed that both at my personal level, as well as in the organization. We give opportunities for people, to be able to 360 degrees grow, have management development program opportunities or supervisory development program opportunities, or even look at external opportunities where the star performers are from the company's perspective given to go and take external courses. I think that's worked personally extremely well for me, and I feel that I like instituting that in the organization. Secondly, I feel that it's the mind which limits your capabilities, and sometimes the ecosystem around you. You have to be confident that what you want and look towards the direction of continuously working towards it. You might have failures or successes on the way, and use that as an opportunity to learn and just keep on moving forward. And don't get deterred on the way. And it's worked personally for me, and I think it can work for a lot of people around.
So just continuing really this conversation around challenges as a working woman and as a professional, what were perhaps some of the biggest challenges you faced?
As a second generation entrepreneur, especially as a young girl joining business, everybody thinks she's coming for a time pass, and till she gets married, she's just trying to kind of while around her time. Obviously, I mean, for me, I got married when I was in second year of college, and so that aspect was out. So if I joined business, it meant that I'm here for a predefined strategic objective in my mind. But yet, you're a young girl, people think, she might just get bored and have other interests. But that concept and thought process, I think, was for the first 6 months of my working. And I think after that, it was no looking back. People knew that I was here for good, here for serious work, and here for the overall development of the team as well as the MBD group. So I think the first 6 months was, could say, a bit challenging, but then there was no looking back.
If you had any advice for our female entrepreneurs who are watching today's interview, what would you like to say?
In my opinion, if the women think that because they are women, they would get a better treatment, they would need, extra organization support, if they come with a mindset that as a woman that they would need those extra things much more than the men because they have more challenges, then I think you have a lot of struggle to go ahead. You have to fight in the world wherein, as a woman, there could be biases against you. As a man also, there are a lot of biases against men as well, I must tell you that, Everybody is fighting through biases, and I've probably quoted this before as well. Some people from probably certain backgrounds they come in, certain places they come in from. If you're a man, there are biases, women, there are biases, but you have to think that you have to work in that level playing ground without getting additional support. And that's the way to go. And if you have that mindset of not asking for more because you're a woman, well, there's no looking back. I'm sure you're going to succeed.
What is your leadership mantra, Sonica?
My leadership mantra has always been to lead from the front. Just because I was the daughter of my founder, it doesn't mean that, I get all the leeways that I want to take. You have to lead from the front. And especially at times when, there are circumstances which are tough. You cannot take a back seat, have the team go in the so-called battleground and, have all the hardships. You have to be with them. And I think as a leader, when you lead from the front, there couldn't be a better motivation for the team because they also feel they again have to lead from the front for their own teams, and this culture of excelling continues right from the top to the bottom. That's worked extremely well for me. And besides that, you have to create a culture of a family in the organization. A family which not only takes care of probably your economic needs, but also a sense of self-respect. Every day when you go out of office, you should not feel that, oh Lord, I have to be back here tomorrow, and I'm sorry, it's not a pleasing experience. You have to create a family environment in which my father sincerely believed in, and hence we have people working for more than 30 years, 40 years in the company, that you create a family environment of love, respect, affection, hand-holding, and yet you progress in your career, in your personal path ahead, and that's what I firmly believe in.
Monica, as I'm then running out of time on today's interview, maybe I could ask you if there was one person or something that you feel you really owe your success to, what would that be?
I think I contribute my success in this so-called, as they say, the male-dominated world, entirely to the upbringing my father and my mother have given to me. My father and mother never created these preconceived notions that this is a woman's responsibility and a role. They allowed me to pursue my dreams and go ahead and do what I wanted to do. I think they never imprinted in my DNA that these are my boundaries. And I give 100% of the success to my parents. And I must also mention my sister has been so supportive. And last but not the least, even my husband. I think he's been a great support to me. He's never expected the stereotype out of me. And I think my family is the one I give biggest thanks to for all this that I have been able to do and achieve, and for all the years to come.
All right, Sonica, so good having you with us here on the show. Thank you for your time. Out of time on tonight's conversations. If you have any feedback for us, do let us know. Our details on your screens as we speak. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.